Morning students, welcome to the class. Today's date is 8th January 2021. So we have been doing lesson number 13, The Travels of Ravina Aunty. In our previous class, what we did? We have read the words that have double E, and we have talked about the traveling. What are the things that we can gather, or what are the knowledges that we can gather through traveling, and we read the lesson, and also we have discussed the new words with their meanings. So today the learning outcomes of today's discussion is to be able to understand the lesson and grasp its meaning, because I'll be explaining the lesson. So after explanation you will be able to grasp what actually the story tells us. So let's do a quick recap of the new words that we have done in our previous class. So the first word that we got was jumped with joy. As you can see on the screen, the picture shows that the children are jumping with joy. Jump with joy means jumped with happiness. When we are happy, we used to jump, right? We used to shout and jump and just love to express our feelings. So the jump with joy meaning is jumped with happiness. Then comes the magazine. Magazine is a book with articles and pictures. You are familiar with the magazines. We have school magazine as well. So you know that what are there inside the magazine. There are some write-ups that students write or any other people write. And also along with that we have some pictures as well. Then comes the desert. Desert is a land that is covered with sand. You will not see any trees. Hardly you will find. So it is almost fully covered with sand, and you are going to see the camel as the camel is the only animal that you are going to find it in the desert. So I hope you are familiar with the desert. What is desert? So it will not be a problem to understand for you. Next is the lookout point, a safe place from where one can watch something. So it might, especially in the jungle or the forest, what happens, it is full of trees and animals, wild animals. So it becomes very difficult for one to be safe at that place. But there used to be some lookout point, means people used to make a place where they are safe from everything, means the wild animals, the weather, the climate, everything. So that is called the lookout point, a safe place from where the people or a person can watch something. Now let us come to the lesson. Before the explanation, I would like to read the lesson once more. So just listen to the words properly. The Travels of Ravina Aunty. Ravina Aunty is coming this evening, said Mummy. Pretty and Priya jumped with joy. She was their favorite aunt. She had many interesting tales to tell. She worked for a magazine and traveled a lot. Ravina Aunty reached at 5 o'clock. Hello, my girls, she said. Come in, Aunty, said Priya. We were waiting to hear your stories. Yes, I do have many stories to share, said Aunty. Aunty, where have you come from? Asked Pretty. I had gone to a desert. I went there with my friend. He is a photographer. He wanted to click photographs of the rising and setting sun. It was very hot in the day and cold at night. We had to travel on a camel as cars would get stuck in the sand. Before that, I was in the mountain, said Auntie. What a different place. From a desert to the mountains, said everyone. Yes, at that time my friend had to click pictures of a mountain lion. The villagers had seen the lion. Luckily, it was not snowing, but it was very cold with a lot of wind. Were you able to click the pictures? Asked Priya. Yes. We set up a lookout point and covered it with leaves and branches. No one could see us. My friend had his camera ready. We had to wait for hours before the lion came. We were able to click just a few pictures before the lion ran away on hearing some. What a story, said Pretty. I'm going to travel when I grow up. Me too, said Priya. So, this lesson is all about Ravina Aunty and her traveling experiences. So, Pretty and Priya, they love their auntie a lot. Okay. So why? Because the one reason that they love Ravina Aunty the most is because they get to hear a lot of stories about her traveling, and they are fascinated. They are very much anxious to hear, and whenever they hear it, they are very fascinated to know about that particular place. And also they gets a lot of knowledge from whatever Ravina Aunty says. So Pretty and Priya, their mummy, said told them that Aunty will be arriving in the evening, and they were like fully excited because their favorite aunt will be coming to their home. So uh, because Ravina Aunty had many interesting stories, she traveled a lot, and most importantly, Ravina Aunty worked for a magazine. And in the magazine, they had to write the articles and also put the pictures, right? And therefore, she needs to travel a lot. So, Ravina Aunty, she reached Pretty and Priya's home at 5 o'clock. Remember the time, 5 o'clock. So, in the evening, not in the morning, but in the evening, 5 o'clock, Ravina Aunty reached Pretty and Priya's home. She greeted the girls, and as soon as she entered, like Priya asked her, like we were waiting for you to hear. We were waiting for you to hear your stories. So they were so excited. They were so patiently waiting for her. As soon as she arrived, they were like, "No, we want to hear your stories. We are waiting for so many days." Then, Auntie, where have you come from? Asked Pretty, because they know that Auntie is not coming from her home directly. Because most of the time, their Ravina Aunty used to travel from one place to another. So they know that she is coming from some place. So they have directly asked the question to her that from where you have come. So then Ravina Aunty said that, okay, I had gone to the desert. So she went to the desert with her friend, who is a photographer. Remember, Ravina Aunty went to the desert with a friend who is a photographer. And the photographer wanted to click the pictures of the rising and setting sun in the desert. So just imagine and think how beautiful it would be. I mean, in the desert, which is that is full of sand, and you will be able to, you will be able to observe the rising and the setting sun. That is going to be such a mesmerizing scenery or scene. So whenever we see here itself, whenever we see the rising and the setting sun, we feel so the scene looks so beautiful, and we also feel so happy by looking at it. So just think about it, about the desert, the land which is full of sand, and just imagine the sun is rising and again the sun is setting. How beautiful it would have been. So the photographer wanted to he wanted to click the pictures of the rising and the setting sun. Therefore, Ravina Aunty and her friend, both they went to the desert. Now, in the desert, the climate was very hot in the day, and as soon as the night comes, it is cold. So, those who have visited the desert, the Rajasthan or any other desert, so you must know that during the daytime, the desert are very hot, and at night, as soon as the night comes, it is very cold. And Ravina Aunty and her friend, they had to travel on camel. As I have already told you during the word meanings discussion, that in desert, as deserts are mostly covered with sand, so the vehicles, it is impossible to take the vehicles because the cars or the bikes, they would get stuck on the sand, and therefore the most convenient way to travel in Rajasthan or in desert areas are the camels. That is why they are called the ship of the desert, because they transport the people, and also they can live without water for many days. Now, before that, I was in the mountains. After explaining them about the desert, the Ravina Aunty told that before going to the mountains, she was in the before going to the desert, she was in the mountains, and everybody was surprised. It was so different. At one time you were in the mountain, now you are in the desert. How different it would be. Then Ravina Aunty said, yes, it's a different place from a desert to the mountain. And when she went to the mountain, her friend, that photographer friend, he had to click the pictures of a mountain lion, because the villagers of that area, they have told that they had seen a mountain lion. Okay, and when they went there on that particular day, it was not snowing. They were very relieved that it was not snowing, and but it was very cold. And when you go to the mountain, it is very cold and lot of wind blows, right? But luckily it was not snowing on that day. And then what they did was, as it was a forest, so they set up a lookout point. So they found a safe place. They covered themselves with leaves and branches. If you have seen the National Geographic or Discovery Channel, that how the photographers, the videographers, though, they used to go to the jungles to near the wild animals by covering themselves with leaves and branches. In the same way, they choose a safe place and then covered themselves with leaves and branches. And when they did that, then the wild animals could not recognize them, because they will look like the trees or the shrubs and grasses. Now they set up the lookout point. The Ravina Auntie's friend got ready with his camera, and you know that the wild animals, you cannot call them. You have to wait for the wild animal to come out. So as soon as the lion, they had to wait for a long hours. Okay, and after that the lion came, and just they were able to click only just a few pictures before the lion. So they clicked some pictures, and then the lion went away hearing some noises. Therefore they were able to click only few pictures of the mountain lion, but they clicked the pictures. They got it, they clicked the pictures. So Preeti was very excited and surprised. What a story! How, like, what kind of, these are very exciting adventures that Ravina Aunty did. And Preeti also wanted to travel when she grows up. And when she said like that, Priya also supported her, that even she also wanted to travel when she grows up. So here, this is a very simple story. So Ravina Aunty was the favorite aunt of Preeti and Priya. She arrived at their house in the evening at 5 o'clock. So she came from the desert where she went with her sorry she went to the desert with her photographer friend to click the pictures of the rising and the setting sun. And also the climate of the desert, it is hot during the day and cold at night. And Ravina Aunty and her friend, they had to travel on camels, because the vehicles, if they take the vehicles on the desert area, it would get stuck on the sand. But before moving to the desert, they were in the mountains, because in the mountains the photographer had to click the pictures of the mountain lion. They went there, they set up a lookout point and covered themselves with leaves and branches and waited for long hours for the mountain lion to come out. And as soon as the mountain lion came out, they clicked some pictures, and the lion also went into the jungle quickly, because as the lion heard some noises, and they are very alert. If they hear some noises, they will run inside the jungle. So this is a story of Ravina Aunty. I hope you have understood it. Read the lesson and try to understand it on your own. Now let us move to the connect the dots. Ravina Aunty traveled by car for 14 hours. She then traveled on a camel for 4 hours in the desert. For how many hours did she travel in all? Try to find out the answer. This is your classwork. Just after watching the video, try to solve the question, and I will be discussing all these questions in my next class. Then EVS fun. So mountain lions hide the prey, that is the food that they catch under dry leaves and soil. They do this so that they can come back and eat it for many days. Mountain lions do not roar. Now we have seen lions roar, right? But mountain lions, they do not roar. And what they do is whenever they kill the or hunt the prey for the food, they catch it and then they keep it under the dry leaves or the soil so that other animals cannot eat that prey or the food or their food. They can eat that particular food for many days. So this is how smart these mountain lions are. Now let us move towards let us discuss questions. The question number 1 is, why did Ravina Aunty have to travel on a camel in the desert? So you know the answer, that Ravina Aunty had to travel on a camel in the desert because the cars would get stuck in the sand. Then number 2 question is, what does Pretty want to do when she grows up? Pretty wants to travel when she grows up. So these are the answers of these questions. Write it on your own. I will be sharing the correct answers in my next class. So these are your classwork. Try to do it on your own. Frame the sentences on your own. So here I am going to wrap up my class. Thank you.